Ah, there we go. All right, can everyone see this? Perfect.
Look, this message is going to some of you guys that feel like you're all by yourself and no one's around you because you're trying to chase your dreams and your ambitions, but you feel like you're all by yourself. Let me explain something to you. I'm in my car right now. Obviously, no one is sitting next to me. No one's behind me. The only thing I got is this light here. If I close this, it's off. If I open this, it's on. I'm by myself. There's only one person I can talk to here. So what does this mean? Here's what it means. The first couple years of your business, you are going to get to a moment where this happens to you. You can't call your wife. You can't call your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. You know why? Because you told them you have big dreams and ambitions and they believed you and they said, go for it. You can't call your friends because you told your friends you got big plans. You cannot call your peers. You cannot call anybody, not your parents, because you told your parents, I don't want to go to college and become a lawyer. I don't want to pursue and become that engineer. I want to go become a businessman, a salesperson, or an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in a car like this all by yourself, talking to only one person, and it's you. And what do you do at this point? I've been in these types of situations many, many times. So you sit together by yourself. I'd go on appointments, 2-hour drive, 3-hour drive. I'm knocking on the door of the person to sell something that I'm going to make $1,500, that I need that $1,500 to make my car payment, my cell phone payment, and pay off my credit card for that month. And I'm knocking on the door. I see the drape moving. They don't open the door for me. And I drove 2.5 hours in traffic. I said, I see you. They're not opening the door. Sir, I see you. Not opening the door. I'm calling. They're not picking up. They're pressing again. I call again. They're pressing again. What do you do in that moment? What do you do in that moment? You know what I'm talking about. What do you do in that moment? What do you do when you go on all these sales calls or you do all these other things? You prepared a proposal. You put so much time into it. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to make me $5,000. This is going to make me $2,500 or $10,000. And it doesn't go your way. Then after that appointment or the meeting or all day of making calls, sending emails, anything you do all day, there's going to come a time you get in your car and you're by yourself. What are you telling yourself when you're in a car by yourself? Here's what it sounds like. Is this even going to work for me? Is this even worth it? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting my body through this? What is this all about? Why not just go get a regular job and just have a peaceful life? I mean, what is really a big deal about having all the money anyways? Most people who have money are miserable anyways. Who cares about making millions? Who cares about traveling the world? Who cares about any of this stuff? Why do I care about having a Ferrari? I don't need to buy a Ferrari anyways, pay more money, pay more tax, have a big rest. I don't care. Why do I need to have a legacy? Who cares about having a big legacy? Why do I need to do that stuff? Why? Who am I trying to prove a point to? Why am I trying to prove a point that I got this? In those moments is whether you win or you lose because of what you tell yourself, because you don't, it's here where you become your own ally. I remember I would sit in an appointment. I would go to an appointment, it wouldn't work in. I'd come to my car and I would sit back and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I would close my eyes and I would visualize what this life is going to look like. And I would have to shut my eyes to believe in the dream that I have. And my visualization would go. Imagine a conversation you're having with your dad, with your mom, with your family. Imagine those moments where they say you're proud of you. They're proud of you. Imagine you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're so proud of yourself. You're seeing your kids one day, private school, traveling together. You got great relationships. They want to be around you. They enjoy your company. Then later on, grandkids. And you've done such a good job and a legacy. They're so proud of their last names. You've made the money where you can go on the family times together. If something happens to them, you got the resources. I would go. And I would be in this dream of mine. And every single time I got to that point, rather than dwelling and asking those questions, I would go and dream. Every time I did that, you know what it was like? It was like going to Chevron gas station, like going to Shell, like going to Arco. Even Arco doesn't take credit cards. It's like going to those places. And you would dream. And you're refueled, and then you go back up again. But the challenge is most people, when they hit these moments, they don't go to the gas station. Unfortunately, when they get to these moments, they get too logical. And when they get too logical, guess what ends up happening? They make logical decisions, not emotional decisions, thinking about their bigger dreams. And when they make the logical decisions, they all of a sudden quit, and they go away, and they go back, and they retract to what they were doing before. And maybe around everybody, people could say you made the right decision. For the rest of your life, there's only one person who's going to know that you quit. You know who that one person is? You. And gradually, a little bit of bitterness may enter your body because you're upset you quit. So your fuse is a little shorter. You're a little bit more upset. People are wondering why. No one knows why. Your wife asks you, what's on your mind? Sometimes I don't know what you're thinking. I say, I'm not thinking about nothing. Yeah, you are. I know you're thinking. I'm not thinking nothing. You leave me alone. I'm not thinking nothing right now. Babe, I've been married to you for 6 years. You're thinking about something. What is the matter with you? Leave me alone. What's on your mind, babe? No one's going to know. You are going to know. So what's the moral of the story here with this video? Next time you're by yourself in a car, no one else is around, things not going your way, you got to find a way to hype yourself up. You got to find your way to focus on the vision. You got to find your way to find a way to remind yourself of the dream and refuel yourself. Or else you're eventually going to go around, be around all the crowd. But once you're around all the crowd, you're going backwards. Because to get to the next crowd, you kind of got to graduate this company. Because the reality is, now that you make it, you have so many people around you that think like you, support you, help you. They bought into the vision. They have respect for you because they've seen the toughness that you have, because they've seen you're somebody to follow, you're somebody to team up with, you're a running mate type of a person. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I thought I was all by myself. Where'd all these people show up? Well, that's because you never quit. So, message is very simple. Whatever you're doing, if you're in a situation like this, you are not alone. Many other people have been in situations like this. It's almost mandatory to get to the next level, except they won in these moments. And I challenge you to do the same as well. Having said that, have a great week this week, wonderful week this week, and we'll do this again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
How about that? How about that? I watched
Who is
that.
that speaker? What is his name?
That's Patrick Bet David. So Patrick Bet David, some people don't like him, some people love him. Whatever your feelings are on him. Do you know how Patrick Bet David made all his money? Patrick Bet David sold a life insurance agency for $150 million plus. Okay. And so I love that because I watched that video and I remember thinking to myself when I was first starting in the business and I'm out there driving all over hell and creation in Maine and different, and going to this state, going to that state, going to different small towns and small homes in Vermont with the roof caving in, and you just stop and you'd get to your location, or you'd stop at a gas station, you'd sit in your car and you'd have those thoughts like, man, what the hell am I doing? Like I could go do this job or that job, make my 70 grand a year like everyone else, right? And I thought, and what I kind of wanted to use today is what he says something in that which I thought was awesome, which is words have power, right? Words have way more power. What you tell yourself, what you tell others, they have so much more power in how you think day to day. So I want to use the word ex extraordinary. You guys ever heard of that word? You ever break down the English language? What's the word extraordinary have in it? It's got two words. What's the first word in extraordinary?
Extra and ordinary.
Okay, so there's ordinary. Dave was so locked in, right?
Dude, I post shit like, yeah, I posted all these words you need to say more all the time. That shit is, it's a frequency. Say what you will. Nobody really knows me.
No,
Nick knows
no,
me a
it
bit, but
is. It is.
it
It
is.
is. And so,
Yeah, I just posted something about, you're kind of locked in, and the only way to change the frequency is awareness.
mhm,
You know,
exactly. So with that word, right? You can be ordinary or you can be extraordinary. Okay, and what does that mean? What does ordinary mean? Right? You talk to the average salesperson, right? They're like, oh, I made 30 dials today. That's what the average salesperson will make. They'll make 30 dials. They'll send out 40 emails and they suck. They make $60,000 a year. That's ordinary. That's ordinary income. Okay. In those battles that they're sitting in their car, they're ordinary. They don't take that moment to dream, to refuel, like he says, right? Those decisions you make every single day. Am I going to be extra or am I going to be ordinary? And if every time those little battles you have, you're extra, you'll be extraordinary. right? And you're gonna have those moments that you're in the car or you're sitting by yourself at night and you just stare off. Can I do this? Is this for me? Guess what? Every single person who's done anything that has created a legacy for their life, for their family, for their kids, has had that moment where they go, "Is this for me?" Every single one. And if you think, "Oh man, no one gets my situation." Really? Okay. Sylvester Stallone sold the rights to Rocky, sold his dog, sold his dog, created one of the biggest American classics about boxing there ever was. He had $10 in his bank account, living on the street. There's story after story and story after that. There's so many different stories of this happening over and over again. He chose in that moment to be extra, put it all on the line. And guess what? Put it all on the line when you didn't have much to lose anyway. And look what he got out of it. Okay? Those little battles, you get them every single day. Oh, do I want to get up and do the dials? Oh man, do I want to follow up with that client? Oh man, I'm not at my goal for the week. My friends offered me to do this Saturday, but I should do I get up at 8 a.m. and start dialing for a few hours from 9 to 1? Oh man, do I set up my Monday? These little battles every single day. You have to ask yourself, is that do I want to be ordinary or do I want to be extraordinary? Every single day. What I wanted to do too is I want to get you guys to hear a parallel because you know how I always use restaurants and different businesses. I wanted you guys to hear just from someone else's perspective how life-changing this business can be. So I'm gonna have Mike and Augusta, whoever wants to speak here. We know Mike's got the soapbox ready. He's ready to go. That's his thing. Um, they were in PNC, property and casualty, and I want them to kind of tell their story of where they came from and where they are now. So, Mike, do your thing, and Augusta.
I'll try to be as brief as possible because like you said, I can get on my soapbox and go. Um, yeah, so I mean, I this industry is it's the most consistent industry to sell in for sure. So like in terms of where to be extraordinary within this industry, we learned the longest way possible that it was in life insurance because so our kind of background is Augusta and I both have spent our entire adult lives in the insurance world. Like we started straight out of college in insurance and have been doing it for what, 10, 12 years at this point. And we've sold like literally everything there is to sell in the insurance world. We started out with just straight car insurance. We had a stint with some health stuff. We have moved around the country working it on a corporate side of things. We also helped, PNC agencies from like a performance management standpoint. And then eventually we opened our own like brick and mortar PNC agency with farmers. And leveraging all the experience we had and trying our best to be extraordinary and, having the 80-hour weeks and everything, we absolutely crushed it in the PNC world in our little niche with our captive carrier. We were the highest producing agency in the Midwest. So like out of one of the four regions in the country, we were the highest producing in our region. We had four agents on staff who were selling all day long. We had to hire on a couple of service people because we were growing the book so quickly. So, like, on paper, all of that was going as well as it possibly could have. Like, when I built out my expectations for, 30, 60, 90 days, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, we were crushing all those goals. The thing about pretty much everything else in the insurance industry outside of life insurance is that grind and the time commitment and the money commitment and the amount of money you have to bet on yourself over time is so significant that even though we were absolutely crushing it, it's like we were paying 75 grand a month in order to make 80, right? So there are, many successful long-term property and casualty agencies out there where, the joke has always been that the PNC agent is the guy who's out on the golf course all day because his money just comes in, and he doesn't have to do anything for it because you build that passive income over time. But in that building process, if we would have stuck with property and casualty, we were going to have to spend seven figures in order to get to the place where we felt like we really had significant, stable, passive income. So by the time we were a couple years into that office running at a high level, the company that we were working with, they were restricting some of what they wanted us to write and some of our customer base, and we were seeing rate increases coming down the pike. And so I started looking outward within the industry still. And Augusta, who you'll hear me say a million times, she is a far better salesperson than I am. But she had started to get into the life world with a former IMO that we worked with. And the principles are still exactly the same. You have to bet on yourself. You have to bust ass all day, every day, especially in the beginning in order to get started. But that same like 75 grand a month we were going to have to spend with PNC, it's 10% of that or less to start out with in the life world. So I was like, oh man, we can actually like spend just a few $1,000s to give this a shot instead of having a couple 100,000 set aside ready to go, ready to spend, ready to burn. And as soon as, she had some lead flow happening, as soon as she set some appointments, sold a couple of policies, and it was like, oh wow, it really is, 80% of the first year's premium is what's going to show up on Friday after you sell this policy. You sell two or three or four of those, and it's like, oh, I'm in the black in 2 weeks' time. And then from there, you've got the income coming in order to then fund your next lead order or your next, whatever next marketing push you're going to do. You already have free money, profit money coming in that you can dump back into that. So within 5, 6 weeks, it was like, oh, we're already, from a percentage standpoint, we're already so much profitable in a month and a half compared to the 2.5 years that we've spent with our PNC agency, spending all this money, great revenue, but also spending almost all of it in order to keep that ship moving the right direction, right? So,
I think something that's important too that you should touch on is just the fact that there's no service. Like that's a
right,
huge piece is like there
the
is no
biggest piece,
service that goes along with,
right?
I mean, you talk to your clients maybe once a year, and God forbid if something happens, if there's a death claim, but like you're really not checking in on these people. These people aren't calling you constantly because, hey, I got a flat tire, or hey, can we make adjustments to my policy? It's very cut and dried. And I guess the other thing that I wanted to say is like there really isn't another opportunity out there that I know of that will compensate you for the work that you're putting in the way that this does. And trust me, we've tried, everything. But the main thing is like from start to finish, you can have a client on the books in 30 minutes or less. It's like that's just invaluable. I mean, and then it's just on to the next. I guess that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike, but that was
No,
something that
you
I
needed
wanted
to
to
cut me
say.
off because I could have gone another half an hour, so that was
You
good.
know,
Yeah, and so you get paid, the same amount on day one of these policies as you would have, it would have taken 5 years to get paid the same amount for a property and casualty policy, and you would have had to talk to that person 50 times in that same time frame and spent hours of, your time or a paid employee's time in order to work with them. So,
and sometimes they just call you to talk, and
right.
that's okay, I guess, sometimes.
Right. So all that to say that like, in this industry, it is the best industry truly for sales. And if you're going to be extraordinary, if you're going to like really put everything on the line in order to become great, this is far and away the best segment in the industry and to do that.
I love
Put in
that.
the work, you'll be rewarded.
Yep.
Yeah, think about that. So just like when they had told me, I remember were in our little van coming back from the Sonoma airport, and they had told me their story real quick, and I was like, holy God, like because everyone always, I've had like family be like, "Oh, you want to get into property and casualty? It's way more money." I'm like, dude, that no, it's not. Like, I talked to a life insurance client. The only time they talk to me is they either want to get more coverage, they either want to cancel, which is very rarely, and if you actually, it's great if they call you want to cancel, you normally save it, or they want to do a policy review of some sort. Which is, by the way, is like how often do you talk to your old clients? It's pretty rarely, unless you're initiating the conversation, right? So, like they said, not having to deal with that policy servicing and get, by the way, was it 10% residual? It's something real tiny.
Yeah, like 8 to 10, maybe 11 if you're lucky on pretty much everything across the board is the actual commission up front, and for life. But even that dips, and the retention
It,
is honestly way worse in P&C than it is in life.
and you've got your best friends slash worst enemy can be Mother Nature, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. You have a big like crazy storm event that happens in your state. Like we had in Iowa, we had a derecho, which nobody knew that word ever, but it's like an inland hurricane basically, and that screwed up um, home insurance sales. To this day, like people still struggle with home insurance sales in the state just because of claims histories. So like there's so many barriers that keep you from selling a policy to somebody that you already spent the money on the lead. You already, like you've spent the money in order to see if you can help this person or not, and that's a huge barrier that gets in the way.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, there's so many different carriers. It's like even with guaranteed issue, you can really cover anyone. It's just a matter of do you know how to have that conversation. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted you guys to hear that because I always use different examples of other businesses, and it's like if you see the parallel of either even in insurance, like this is truly the most profitable way to do it. You can make 20, $30,000 in a month, and then you still do have some residuals. It's not outrageous. It's not 10%. Actually, some of the carriers it goes up to 10%. But then your policy maintenance is almost nothing. And that's just scratching the surface. And you start talking about infinite banking and annuities and all these different things you can offer with this license. It can make you a ton of money, it can make it very, very quickly. I mean, name another business where you can get paid the next day. You guys weren't getting paid the next day, I'm sure, right?
No, and every other industry, if like a super successful business model, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, our break even is 2 years from now. You know what I mean? Whereas with
Yeah.
this, it's
PNC,
like
the
if you,
turnaround tail is like it's like 3 months before you get paid anything.
oh yeah, with property and casualty, you're
Mhm.
always waiting a couple of months for policies you wrote, 2 months ago is when you actually get paid for it. So you gotta front a lot of expense, especially in like we spent like 150 grand before we got our first commission check with our property and casualty agency. Like that was a nerve-wracking 90 days before we started seeing checks coming in.
Yeah, I mean, so the point is that like your overhead is a few $1,000s versus $150,000. And then you said something that was very interesting to me that you said in order to get paid where we felt comfortable, by the way, comfortable. This isn't like you're living lavishly, that you would have had to spend seven figures. Seven figures. Like that, like 1,000, comma 000. Like that's insane. So there's that blows my mind. And I don't know if you guys have heard of Cody Sanchez. Did anyone hear heard of Cody Sanchez? She buys businesses, and she always talks about people like, oh, real estate, real estate, real estate. It's like so you spend. It's no difference in this the way I look at it. You spend $1 million on an apartment building to cash flow 10 grand a month, let's say 15 grand a month, right? And then it's an $800,000 loan. It's going to take you 20 years to pay that off. You're not really cash flowing for 20 years. It's like in this business, it's like you spend 4,000, 5,000 on leads, you're cash flowing 20 grand profit. That's just like it almost sounds fake, and I promise you it's not, guys. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you it's not fake. I mean, there's no other business where I mean, like I'm actually reading this book Nick got me, The Sales Game, and he talks about in sales like you when you start getting really good at it, your deposits, like you're literally making so much money day to day that you're getting this $300 deposit, this $500 deposit, $1,000 deposit, like every single day. And it's like, unless you're an absolute moron with your money, you literally can't outspend what you're making. Okay? So most people don't have a spending problem, by the way. It's typically an earning problem. It's typically an earning problem. You know, people are like, oh, I could just budget my way out of 50 grand. Not really nowadays. It's tough. So, let's stay focused, guys. Let's get everyone on the board. But remember, this is the, I don't think we have to sell you on the opportunity. You guys are all here. But truly, like when you're having a bad day and you're telling yourself, oh man, this sucks, choose to one, be extra, and two, understand that there's other businesses out there where you're thinking, oh, the grass is greener over there. I promise you the grass is not greener. I promise you it's not. It's a lot harder than you think. So practice your skill set, get really freaking good at it, right? You don't have to be talented. You don't have to be this thing. There's all these misconceptions. Just practice your skill set and be consistent, and then you'll be great. Be consistent and then you'll be great. Okay? Let's have a freaking awesome